numbers start from 2 and it's 12, 22 and 32, 42 and 52. So it's kind of like even numbers, right? And then here, we double click, we have 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So this line is giving us the regular numbers, right? It's increasing by 1. And here it's increasing by 10, 50, 61, 71. So there's a flow of numbers. That's why we are able to double click and have a double click selection of the edges that are flowing. If the flow change, that selection will not happen. Hold shift and select this one and this one and this one. So we have a few polygons selected. The action we want to perform is called make circle. So we right click and then we say make circle. Turns the polygons into a circle. Okay. Now, if we go back to the edges and I double click here, the flow is still there. Okay, the flow is still there everywhere. It's still working. All right. But let's perform something. And remember this phase, this area where we have selected for the mix circle. Okay. That area, the system recognized this area as being part of the flow, like we were doing now, remember? But if we do perform poly extrude, the flow is broken because this phase have moved. Okay, this phase have moved, and two things are happening. Okay, two things are happening. The double click flow is no more. Some of them are broken. We can get this one. It's good. Okay. This one is broken. It's not going because it's coming from the bottom. The bottom here is broken too because the original copy of the face is moved up here. Okay, we extruded this face from the bottom. So there's been a changes to the flow and the numbers. So that's why we cannot double click and get the flow. I want us to pay a little attention to the issues that we are discussing in this class. So we find out that after the introduction of this poly extrude from this phase here, we are having problem in double selecting an edge loop, okay? And also the polygon have introduced a stretching. But we also find out that for the stretching, we can fix that by introducing some edge loops to help us work, because when we introduce edge loops, we can have similar polygons, you know, around. So for working, we will be all right. But for introducing texture map, the stretching will still remain, because the first geometry we have, the grilled, this geometry, the faces is registered as one object, and therefore is using a one set of coordinates. So any change of the face will distort the UV coordinates on the object. So any stretching, like what we have here, will also cause a stretch in any texture we put on. It don't matter if we divide this area, because this area have become a new set of geometry itself. So quickly, let's add a quick UV to this whole object like we seen earlier. So let's go for So after we add quick UV, we find out that the stretching is happening, and it's really happening at the area where we pull. That's why you have to know that after you model, you have to have a new set of UV coordinates for this object, because the old one is broken. So any operation that will cause another face to stretch from where it belongs, that area will also have a stretching issue. So to fix this, sometime you'll probably think that you can scroll down, but still the stretching will happen. To fix this, the better way is to have a new set of UVs for the whole object as one, because it's a new object right now. So let's try that real quick. Let's delete this quick UV shade, and let's select this whole thing because it's one object right now, and let's introduce a UV unwrap. Okay, so the UV unwrap is happening. It's right here. So how you see it, you come here, you can divide your view side by side. We see the UV coordinates and the UV texture for this object right here. Okay, hold shift and let's get more middle part of it. See, we can see that this middle part is selected, and here is the first area that we selected to cause the extrusion, and it's over here. So the UV unwrap is giving the object a new set of coordinates. So if we introduce the quick UV shade once again, that area have, let's go to single view, have UV, and they are even just like the other part of the object. That you model, you have to spend time and give each object a new set of UV coordinate. So the quick way is to use the UV unwrap from the texture menu. There are so many ways you can work on UVs. You have to flatten them and do all kind of stuff. You know, we will look at that when we get to the UV class. Because normally after you model and you don't have time to do UV, you try to put texture on it, and you will see the textures are stretching all over. This is one of the reasons that happens. Let's take this UV unwrap and the quick UV shade out. Okay, the next issue that I want us to look at real quick is this. If we get out from the system, click outside, we know that in Houdini, you can jump into the network and make changes as you want, right? But the truth is, it's not every node or every operation that you have done that you can just make changes and then stuff remains the same. Okay, if the changes that you are making, what is happening is what you are looking for, that is fine. But some changes can cause some of your operations to break. That is what I want us to look at real quick. So if we come to the grade, we know that we have performed an extrusion on it, okay? But we can still go to the grade and make changes to the columns and rows. That means we are introducing more polygons to the original grade, okay? Which you can do. But we have performed some operations, some edit, poly extrude, and poly scripts. So let's try to increase the columns and see what will happen to the extrusion we have here, okay? We see that the extrusion is still struggling to survive because new polygons numbers are coming, and the ones that it registered are shifting to all kinds of positions. And if you could see, if I keep increasing, the polygon extrusion will still try to survive, and therefore it will start jumping around all over. You see? So if this effect is what you are going for, that is fine. But that is something you have to note, you know. So it means that you have to be aware that certain operational changes that you have already done, you have to keep it, or, you know, make changes to the next node after that too, okay? So that is very important, because the polygon extrusion have registered those areas. So new numbers coming in, new polygons, they are fighting, and then they are shifting to new positions, okay? Very important. So there are some changes too that you will make, and things will remain fine and nothing will go crazy. So if we come to the poly extrude itself and we try to increase the distance, you see, stuff are the same. Even if we reduce it, we can even go negative and it will just go down. You can see that, right? So this is happening because the numbers remains the same. They're just moving down to new position. There is no introduction of new numbers for them to fight for space, okay? So that is very important. So these numbers are the same. They are just moving to a new position that is scaling or reducing the size of it, okay? But at the same poly extrude, if we try to introduce new divisions for it, okay, very important. Let's take out this edge loops that we introduced that gave it more divisions here. Let's turn that off. You see, so this is the original poly extrude, okay? And we can make changes to its divisions. You see, and nothing is happening. So let's put it back at 1, and let's come to the poly spray and turn it on. So this is the operation we introduced, which is not part of the poly extrude. So we gave it our own division, edge loops, okay? So I can come to the polygon and select just one polygon in the middle here and call for poly extrude. I'll extrude it out a little, okay? Now, if I go back to the first poly extrude and we try to do the same division, we're going to have similar situation like I showed you earlier. This new extrusion is going to jump around because they're going to fight space, okay? Very important. You see, it's jumping all over. And as new points are coming in, it's moving to a different position until it gets back to 1. Very important. So making changes to your network, very easy, but you have to understand what type of changes are you making, and is it going to affect something you have done to one specific area, you know? So it's common sense stuff, right? So the new numbers coming, they're going to fight the position. The question is, what about digital assets? How do you create stuff that, you know, procedure that makes stuff, when you change them, they don't break and stuff? That is procedure. When you are starting to create, you have to think about all of that, okay? You're going to use the spreadsheet, the numbers to work on how things will flow, and, you know, so it's more deep to that. You just don't start creating like we are doing. That's why this course is called direct modeling, because we are not worried about all kind of that stuff, okay? Because we can build a house, okay? In digital assets, we can build a house, or even this object right here, we can build it and somebody can we can give it to somebody and they can make changes to any part of it and it will still remain the same. Either it's giving it more copies or this extrusion is happening to all the adjacent polygons, so you tell the system. And most part of it require expressions and some programming up here, so there's more to it, Python and H scripts and expression languages, so when we get deep into digital assets, that is what helps you to create stuff procedurally. So when we make all these changes, stuff remains this. If we combining digital or procedure with this direct modeling, it will take a little time, but it's not that hard, but this course we wanted to make it pretty easy. Okay, I just want you guys to get comfortable creating stuff, basic models, and when you get comfortable, you can even figure most of these digital assets out. We will end this class and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys.